Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Moore.
Splendid-looking audience, and who knows, this may mean a screen contract for any one of you sitting out there. We want to welcome you to our show, and I'm sure that such phrases as blow me down and shiver my timbers and I am disgusted are part of the language of the spinach-eating sailor man known as Popeye. Well, our first guest today is the voice of Popeye, and we'll meet him right after we say hello to our popular panel here on To Tell the Truth.
Gene Rayburn. Peggy Cat. Bill Cummins. And Kitty Carmine.
Panel, if you were like me, you're a fan of short subjects and cartoons and stuff like that, and I want you to feast your eyes on your monitors for some film of Popeye the Sailor. Now, first, let me set the scene here. It says, Popeye and Olive Oil have landed on the moon, and they've been put in jail by the head cheese man. He's the villain. Now, that dastardly villain has just ordered a poor cheese taxpayer to be tortured by being dipped in hot mustard. Now, this vile act is more than Popeye can tolerate. So watch the film.
I can't stand it no more. It's a pretty cheesy trick to play on them little fellas.
I'm the big cheese around here, and what I say goes.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, that's what I front. Now to finish him off.
Jesus! Thank you very much. Cheese is strong to the finish when mixed with some spinach. Says Popeye the Sailor Man.
That's funny. And now let's meet the man who has the voice of Popeye.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Jack Mercer.
Number two.
My name is Jack Mercer.
Number three.
My name is Jack Mercer.
And your job, as usual, panel, is to find out which one truly is Jack Mercer and listen to his Popeye prose. Goes like this. It says, I, Jack Mercer, am the voice of Popeye the Sailor Man. As a newspaper comic strip character, Popeye made his debut in 1929. Soon afterward, however, he could be seen in animated film cartoons. Most of you will remember with affection those scenes in which our heroes slugged it out with the menacing Blue Toe for the affections of Olive Oil. In addition to talking like Popeye, I also do the voices of many of his friends, including his four nephews, Poop Deck Pappy, and his hamburger-eating honcho, J. Wellington Wimpy. In addition, I was the sole voice man for all of the characters in 240 cartoons of Felix the Cat. Signed, Jack Mercer. And while our three Popeyes get settled in and get their spinach, we'll have a word from our sponsor. My gentleman across the way claimed to be Jack Mercer, the voice of Popeye and numerous other cartoon characters. And for no reason at all, we'll start with Peggy Cat.
Thank you. Hey, number one, you look like Barry Goldwater.
Thank you.
Number one, did you do the feature film that has been recently released of Felix the Cat?
No, I did not.
Oh. Number 2, how many Popeye films have you done?
Well, about 454.
Well, and how many do they still do Popeye?
No, they don't.
Oh. Number 3, when did they stop making Popeye?
Oh, just recently, about a year ago.
Well, where were they showing them? In movie theaters or on television?
Both.
Uh-huh. Number 1, who animated Popeye? What studio?
Max Fleischer, and then Paramount took over.
And number 2, what did Bluto look like?
Well, it was a big, heavy-set fellow with a beard.
Oh, yes.
Very rough.
Uh-huh. And,
Thank you. And we're going to go to Bill Cullen.
Number 2, where did you do the voiceovers for these cartoons?
In New York.
And number 1, how did they find you? How did you end up getting a job like this? What were you doing before, for instance?
I was working in the studio, and I started to imitate Popeye.
I'll go along with you, number 3. How did you get the job?
Working in the studio until that started.
And did someone come up to you and say, how would you like to be the voice of Popeye from here on in?
That's right.
What, number 2, were you also working in the studio before?
Yeah.
What were you doing before you got the job doing Popeye's voice?
I was in-betweener.
You were an actor, in other words?
No, an in-betweener. I drew drawings in between the extreme drawings that the animators made.
And they call that an in-betweener.
That's
Phrase I never heard. Let's go to Kitty.
Number 1, were you an in-betweener?
No, ma'am, I was a cartoonist.
But you gave it up to do these voiceovers?
That's right.
Did you regret it?
No, I loved it.
Number 2, you know, all the spinach Popeye eats, recently they've discovered that all spinach isn't very good for you. Did you know that?
I heard that, yes.
But it didn't upset you.
Not at all, no.
Number 3, was it because of Wimpy, the fellow that ate all the hamburgers, that they have Wimpies in London?
That's right.
And do you get a royalty from that?
No, I don't.
How come?
Just didn't happen.
Oh, well, number 2, you didn't draw Popeye, is that right?
Only for the stories.
So do you get a royalty? You didn't get a royalty because you didn't name him Wimpy.
No.
Who drew it?
Oh, my. And we're going down to Gene Rayburn.
Yes, sir. Number 1, do you get residuals?
Yes, sir, I do.
And number 2, what do you think the appeal of Popeye is? Popeye's following has been enormous through the years, not only in newspapers but in films. What's the basic appeal of Popeye?
Well, I don't know. I think it's because he's strong and he's
Got
has a lot of morals.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
He wants to see that the other guy gets his, you know.
Yeah. All right, number 3, when you work, do you do the voice track first and then they match the cartoon to it, or do you watch the cartoon and match
they do the picture first and then the voice follows.
And you sit in a room and you watch a screen? Is that the way it goes?
Right.
And how many voices?
Hey, we just got ourselves a little bell there. And that means no more questioning. It is balloting time. And the audience will now mark our mental ballots for number 1, or number 2, or number 3. As usual, we pay $50 for each wrong vote. We pay $500 if the panel is totally incorrect. And Peggy starts.
Thank you. Well, number 1 looks like Barry Goldwater.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that matter? It's going to be a voice of Popeye. And number 2, you were really funny, and I thought you had a sort of a timbre in your voice, it might be. But number 3, I don't know, I just think it's number 3. He's got that, he was very laconic, like Popeye.
All right, so we got a 3 going. Bill Cullen, you agree?
Well, I for some reason I thought it was number 3 too, and I thought no, because if anyone who does it is an actor and an outgoing, and number 3. Anyway, I ended up for the most outgoing of all. I thought voting for number 2.
All right.
I was confused.
So far, going down the line, a 3 and a 2 and a Kitty Carlisle.
Well, you see, number 2 has the quality of voice for it. And number 1 had the quality when he said his name, sort of. But if you've got to do all kinds of voices, you can't have a very gravelly voice if you're going to do Olive Oil and all those lady characters. So I voted for number 3, who seems to have the most...
versatile?
Yeah, thank you.
All righty, so we got a pair of 3s and a 2, Gene Rayburn.
Well, number 1 appeared to me to be deliberately trying to change his voice and speak in a higher register. And so I figured he was the one trying to disguise that gravelly, low-pitched quality, and I voted for him for that reason.
All right. So we've got a 1 and a 2 and a pair of 3s. The votes are all in. Will the real Jack Mercer please stand up? There you are. It's so funny. Good job, gentlemen. We were worried as to whether or not something of the voice would creep through there, and it worked out beautifully. Number one, Mr. Goldwater. Will you tell us what your real name is and what you do?
Use your real voice.
My name is Daniel Higgins.
That is his real voice.
What do you do, Mr. Higgins?
I'm a retired U.S. Army major, and at the present time I'm plant manager of the South Amboy, New Jersey plant of Positive Chemicals Incorporated.
Now, hear this.
Number three would like to know about you.
Well, my name is John Black.
Yes?
I have been in the travel business, agency business since 1945. Expect to, and hopefully open my own business in the Exxon business building very shortly.
Hey, good luck to you. Well, Jack, the audience would kill me if I let you get away without giving us some small demonstration of Popeye. Just anything that you'd care to do.
I'd be glad to. Oh, I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Skippity-dee-dee-do. I'm strong to the finish, 'cause I eat me spinach. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Whoa, whoa.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us on To Tell the Truth.